Avatar: The Last Airbender episode. I don't know, whatever episode this is. It'll be in the title, but this is a great episode with some minor nitpicks, and this is my first episode. I'm really gonna do some complaining about because, like I've said, it's really hard to complain about this show. It's so good that it almost has no flaws. This episode definitely has some pretty big ones for me, but it's still a really good episode. I also noticed it's directed by Dave Filoni, who, you know, who's directed episodes of Mandalorian, created Clone Wars, and Star Wars Rebels. So if you're a Star Wars fan, that's pretty cool. And he did a good job directing this episode. So in this episode, um, my main issue is guitar in this episode. But in this episode, they go to this town and they see this dude who's earthbending, and they're like, oh, well, they follow him into town because there's a town probably nearby, and they start going, hey, you know, why'd you run from us? You're an earthbender, right? That's pretty cool, right? And she finds out that in this town, earthbending's not legal, and you know, everybody that gets earthbends gets taken away. And the problem with this episode is Katara. I get Katara as a child, but she's a child with a very mature mindset, and so she's not like Aang, where Aang's still very young and immature. Katara is the opposite. Also, I believe Katara is canonically older than Aang, so you know, but Katara has seen the horrible things the Fire Nation has done and things like that. So when she starts going, no, you need to earthbend, you know, pushing this dude to do something that ends up getting him captured, I think how I would have restructured this episode to write it a little bit better is Katara feels a lot more remorse for getting him captured and blames herself. And then, you know, also Sokka and Aang going along with her plan to get captured does feel a little out of character to me, where like they don't know how dangerous these ships or how dangerous her getting captured would actually be. She could get killed, and I don't really see Sokka being so willing to go along with this plan that could possibly get her killed. So if she went and did it by herself without I could see Aang maybe going along with it, but I couldn't see Sokka going along with it. So maybe if she tried to do it without Sokka, and Sokka and Aang later had to go rescue her, that would make a little bit more sense. But regardless, she gets onto the ship and they use this coal, and that she helps them, the earthbenders trapped on this boat, rise up against their captors and, you know, get and finally take a step towards taking down the Fire Nation, which is a great thing. Don't get me wrong, it's a great I love that part of this episode. What a wonderful part of this episode, right? I just was not very. I don't know, I just thought Sokka and Katara were acting just a wee bit out of character, and I don't feel like Katara is that naive to where she would have let herself let this kid do something that could possibly get him killed, right? Even though it is, I get what you're saying. Like, you could really take earthbending as like sexuality, for example. Like, you can't repress a part of yourself, right? Whether that be your sexuality, right? Same thing with bending in a way. Like, you can't oppress this part of you. If you're an earthbender, you have to earthbend. But at the same time, he's doing it to keep safe, and I feel like Katara doesn't really fully understand any of the dangers, and it was very naive of her. And I do think that the episode creators would probably agree with me on that. So I don't feel like they're trying to shy away from it. I just think there was a better way to convey that within the episode. And then, you know, Sokka being so willing to get her possibly captured on this ship is like, I don't know. But otherwise, it was a great episode. You know, it's a pretty iconic episode, right? Seeing all the Earthbenders take down the Fire Nation. And yeah, they really butchered this in the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, but what you gonna do?